And welcome back to Super TV on channel 150 on OpenView, powered by Super Bets, where you bet with your biggest. Now joining me is powerhouse rapper turned TV personality ProVerb by born Debucho Sydney Tapelo Tekisha, which is the name given to him by his mother at birth. With that said, welcome and thank you for joining us right here on Super TV. How are you? I'm so excited actually.
Listen, I'm very excited. Thank you so much for having me and for damaging my street cred by telling everyone that my name is Sydney. But thank you so much. It's good to be on.
You're welcome. So what did you get up to today besides with everything that is happening into your life? So how did your Tuesday start?
And so first I had a meeting with the All Mutual and my production company. So I had to rush to the office. It started early, and then immediately thereafter, I had to run to a voiceover for South African Idols. We're getting ready for the top 10. And then I waited for the delivery of my memoir, which hasn't arrived as yet, believe it or not. Then I had to run back home and prepare for an event that I'm doing tomorrow for the Mbuma Foundation out in Mpumalanga. So as soon as I'm done preparing that, I'm going to be driving out this evening. Plus, I also registered for an investment course with the Get Smarter, which I will be starting this evening as well.
See, with Get Smart, because I also have a course that I did with them last year through the University of Cape Town. I think they're one of the best people because also they care and everything is sharp. So you are safe with them. But I know also you grew up living in Kimberley. Did you ever see yourself doing the things that you're doing right now, being born and raised in Kimberley?
Well, look, I always had the dream of being an entertainer, traveling the world, but I'd honestly be lying to you if I said it ever occurred to me that it would all be happening. So 20 years later, I'm really grateful to be doing what I love, everything from television, radio, writing books now. I did music for a good 15 years as well. So it's honestly been a dream come true. I'm humbled by it on a daily basis. I cannot believe that it's my life. I get to do what I love regularly. So just like you, I'm very fulfilled doing what I do.
Yeah. Now you are a star that has a diploma in sound engineering, and with that said, you are a writer now. You have a radio show. You do a lot of things. Also, you're part of not just a presenter for Idols, but you're also part of the production of everything that happens with Idols. What made you go that route? I mean, you have a diploma in sound engineering, and you decided to do other things.
Look. First of all, it's not only sound engineering that I have. I also have a certificate in property development and investment. I have another one in tax law. I did various short courses, and I just mentioned now I'm going to be doing the investment course as well. So I think it's important to constantly empower yourself, to educate yourself, to expose yourself to the opportunities. So when there was an opportunity to get into the production side and to co-own the production company, Seek Entertainment, I took it with both hands because I've always wanted to be an entertainer. And that word itself, is all-encompassing. It doesn't mean it's just the guy in front of the camera or behind the microphone, but also the entire industry as a whole. So I made it my point to get a full understanding of the full scope of what entertainment means and to try and take advantage of all the avenues and the possibilities that exist.
Definitely. Now, having to follow entertainment, as you've said, that it has always been something that you wanted to do, and then also having you have a diploma. How did your parents take that when you decided that, this is the route that I want to do, and it is entertainment? I did do my school and I finished it and I have a diploma, but this is where I want. This is what I want to follow. How did the parents receive that? Because I'm sure every parent wants their child to be in an office, a doctor, a lawyer, but I don't think there's any parent that wants to see their child in the entertainment industry.
And listen, we can't blame them for that either because, they only know what they understand and they want you to succeed and thrive in whatever line of work you choose. So my folks were academics and they wished I would follow suit as well. But I honestly had this desire to really be an entertainer. And when they realized that there was no changing my mind, because I really began doing it, and eventually they came around, they started supporting me, and they were ultimately, honestly, my biggest supporters and fans, if you like.
Definitely. Now, I have a question that one of our followers here on Super TV said I must ask. That you released
Right.
an album, The Book of ProVerb, in 2005 through an independent record label. So, what are some of the challenges that one goes through when working with an independent label? Because a lot of people don't really make it if you're not signed by a record label that is recognized, and especially if your label is independent, nothing really ever happens. So, how did you do it?
Well, that's kind of not true. I think let's give it some context.
Uh-huh.
So releasing an album with an independent label in the time that I did, so back in 2005, it was, we were breaking grounds. It hadn't really been done before us all that much. It was a new sort of sphere, not to mention it being hip hop as well. So we were among the pioneers and some of the earlier guys to do it. So it was a different landscape. We were charting new grounds. South African hip hop was barely getting playlisted on radio stations. So we pretty much learned by doing. We were making all sorts of mistakes. Many a times we'd go without even signing physical contracts. It was all gentlemen's agreements. So everything was trial and error. But if you look at how things are now it's smart to be independent. One, because you retain a degree of ownership of your work, your intellectual property. So the landscape has definitely changed. I think we charted the grounds, and I think the current generation is enjoying the fruits. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with being independent now.
Now, you've also worked with Sis Unatimkai as a content producer on Metro FM Drive Time from 3 to 6, and now again working with her at Idols. How has your relationship with her developed through the years, and also how important is it to make sure that the relationships that one has in the media industry, you keep them, and also you make sure that they stay as beautiful as yours and hers is?
Look, I have the utmost respect for the lovely Sisunati. I think she's incredible. She's a groundbreaker herself. I watch her in awe on a regular basis on whatever the platform, whether it be on radio, whether it be on television. She herself owns a production company. And I think it's important to keep peers like that close by, because we learn from them, we exchange ideas. We constantly just inspired by their successes, and Cincinnati is definitely one of those. And I do think it's very important to always nurture relationships, whether it be for business purposes or beyond. But, everything is all about relationships. It's all about positioning people accordingly. My entire career is built on, the relationships that I've built from DJ Fresh, who gave me my first job in the entertainment industry. And I speak about all of these things coincidentally in detail in my book.
Now, you are loved for your music and the fact that you are one of the few artists that does not use vulgar language. And I think also that's why my mom loves your music, because there's no swearing in it. So how do you do that? And what's the secret to making sure that even, because your music is loved by old people, young people, and even like little kids. So what's the secret to making sure that everyone is relatable when it comes to your music?
I think it's exactly all the things that you mentioned, because I want everyone to listen to my music.
Yes.
I don't want it to be like exclusive to a particular audience, but rather if I'm to achieve sort of mass appeal, then I have to make the music relevant to all sectors, So because my parents were listening to my music, I'm a parent now, my kids would listen to my music. So I try and make the content timeless. I try and make it clean. I try and make it relevant, something you can still enjoy in 20 years' time.
After all that, tell me about Double HP, who also encouraged you to take a chance and create a rap verses in other languages. And I still think that you're the only South African artist, not just an artist, but who just takes it in every other language, which also includes Afrikaans. Please do share that with us.
Well, I'm just going to correct you in that I'm not the only one. As a matter of fact, many do. Double HP himself, did his music both in Setswana, in vernacular, put Motswako on the map. And now we've got guys like Youngster CPT who are well versed in Afrikaans as well, and, that culture. So it's not exclusive to me, but Double HP did encourage me to perhaps, explore the gift of the tongue. And being from Kimberley and having an ability to speak decent Afrikaans, he encouraged me to put that on wax. If I may also take this opportunity to say, may his soul forever rest in peace. He made timeless music himself. He was a massive influence on me, and I have nothing but respect for the late but the great Double HP.
Definitely. Now, someone also told me that you used to have a book where you used to scribble down your own legendary rhymes in. Do you still have that book, or do you still do that?
I still very much keep my books. In fact, if I can dig here in my box, because I happen to be in my office.
Oh, yes.
I definitely still keep all of my
Wow.
books with all of my rhymes in it. And I was old school, man. You know, before we were writing on our cell phone and devices and so on, I used to literally scribble and write there and fix and do my editing, get into the booth with the book. And you know, I'm glad I kept them, you know, and I cherish them now.
Definitely. Now, because you did say earlier on that you're busy with idols right now. I know
Yeah.
it's a lot of work. Sometimes there's a time where you need to comfort people. There's a point where you need to be happy for them. But how do you
Sure.
comfort the people who don't make it to the next round? I mean, you do it effortlessly. Whether they win on or lose, you just still do the great job. So how do you do it without even laughing?
Well, thank you so much. I think I genuinely empathize, man, because you know it's your dream, and if somebody can come all the way from home and travel often long distances to come and stand in the queue the entire day to chase their dream, you know, I do not take that lightly and for granted at all. And even some of the lighter situations where they're not as naturally talented, you know, I still cannot take for granted that it's
Yeah.
their dream and it's genuinely their dream. So I try not to break anybody down, rather build them up. So that's kind of how I think and approach it.
Definitely. And what should we expect on 2020's Idols? Should we see more drama? Should we expect more other? Because last year's ones, we saw people swearing at the judges because they didn't get what they thought they will receive. But what should we expect this year?
I think that's always a given, man. You know, someone will always have an opinion, thoughts about how it should have gone, as well as the viewers. They will always have their opinions, and they're more than welcome to express them. But season 16 is going very well. We're down to the top 10 now.
Yeah.
So we've done all of the regional auditions. We did Theatre Week, even navigated around the lockdown and the like. But now we are busy with the live shows. So we recently announced our top 10. And as of this coming Sunday, it's going to be just the top 10 performances until we find our ultimate winner. So you better believe there's going to be plenty of excitement. Guest performances, deluxe as well. We had Master KG come and perform the massive Jerusalem song. And we've got a whole host of guest performances still to come.
Oh, we can't wait for that. Also, with your new book, you recently released a book called The Book of ProVerb, and it's all about your truth, your fears,
Sure.
flaws, dreams, highs and lows. So one would think you have no fears at all because you have achieved a lot in life. So tell us about the inspiration behind the Book of Proverbs.
It was just about expressing my truth. You know, I believe success is measured by how many you bring with you. So if I can inspire as many in the process as well, just to say I too, an ordinary kid from a small town, you know, cast his net wide and chased his dreams and is still pursuing it. And if I can sort of encourage as many to do the same as well, but also to say I too am not immune to challenges. I have my flaws, my problems, my fears. And I speak about all of these frankly, but the book is very much based on peace, you know, because I don't know if it's age, but I'm kind of at the point where I'm a lot calmer, I'm a lot at peace. So I'm trying to inculcate, I suppose, and spread as much peace as I can. And I hope, if nothing else, that is the biggest takeaway from the memoir.
Definitely. Also, don't worry about age. I don't think you've really aged that well. It's just, we could just say it's an experience of life.
Did you say I haven't aged that well?
No, I'm saying you didn't age that bad.
Oh.
No, I didn't say you didn't age. You didn't age it. So I can't say it's age. So I think we can just say it's an experience because you still look young. You really do look young.
Too kind. Thank you.
You're welcome. So in your book, you also pay the tribute to the people who've helped make the person that you are today, especially your parents, your grandmother, and your siblings. With this memoir, how was their reaction about everything that you've written? And have they read the book? Do they have a copy?
Well, my mom sadly passed away about 5 years ago, and my grandmother I lost earlier this year. And you know, my biggest regret is that, they weren't alive to see it.
Yeah.
But I sincerely hope where they are, they are proud. Of course, my siblings, had to deal with my freestyle sessions and my keeping them up at night with beats and ideas and the crazy chaos that I caused. So I really owe a lot of my gratitude to them, and I really wish to express it in this book. But not only that, along my journey as well, from all the opportunities I've been given, every time somebody lent me an ear, every time somebody paid for a ticket to come see a show, or bought a CD, or came to the shows now with idols, or commented, or gave me the platform like you are right now. I also want the book to be a message of gratitude, to say I didn't do it all on my own. I continued to rely on support, which I'm eternally grateful for. Plus, of course, my kids, just something to make them proud. And I certainly hope that they are proud. You spoke about the fears, which definitely comes up in the book. And one of my biggest fears is, letting my folks down because they invested in me, letting those who support me down because they continue to sort of support. But most importantly, letting my children down. That's honestly my biggest fear.
And what are some of the infectious positive lessons you've learned through the different phases of your life?
Yeah. Honestly, I have learned that, regardless of the challenges that come, and they do come, one can rise above them. It's not about how you fall and when you fall, because trust me, you will.
Yeah.
But it's about how quickly you get up, how you dust yourself off. What are some of the lessons you learn from those challenges? It's about continue to striving, continue to diversify. I learned a lot about business as well, to say, it's all good and well to reach a certain level of success, but it's another to keep it. Longevity is a blessing which I don't take for granted. I mean, if you take Idols alone, I'm on my 11th season. Before I gave up music, I was enjoying a 15-year run where I had 5 albums, a DVD, and a mixtape. And honestly, that longevity is not achieved on my own, but it's because of the tremendous support that I've enjoyed.
Awesome. Now, what's the one thing that's on the book that made you think twice on putting it out there?
Well, if I'm to be brutally honest with you, I speak extensively about a phase in my life where I enjoyed a little bit of a depression, and that was sort of a rough patch in my life. But I had to overcome that, and I have found my peace as I speak. So just exposing some of those vulnerabilities, and I suppose telling the world and declaring that you are imperfect and you have all these flaws and all these challenges, and you too have frustrations. I constantly wear a smile on a daily basis. So I think it's not known to many that I do cry. I do have days where I'm particularly down. So just exposing some of these vulnerabilities has me a little bit anxious on how it's going to be received. But I know many can relate as well, because I, like anybody, am a human being and have tough times too. But it's not about the tough times, but it's about surviving those. It's about bypassing and climbing that mountain and reaching the summit.
Definitely. Also, your life has been out there. You've been doing
Sure.
all the good work. What's that one thing, what you think, when one gets in touch with your book, that at least they can relate to?
I think it's about that eternal peace, man. That's ultimately the biggest takeaway that I want, So, whatever the circumstance, whatever your background, whatever the challenges you go through, whatever the successes that you enjoy, the failures that you enjoy as well, whatever, as long as it's all done in peace, with peace, for peace, and, you impart peace on others as well. And your peace should never be at the expense of somebody else's. So that's probably the biggest takeaway that I want somebody to take.
Definitely. Now, to join us on some fun questions before I let you go,
Sure.
there's like a little couple of questions that I think I would like to know also. So what team do you support, or rather the international team do you support, and why?
Oh, I'm more of a local soccer kind of person. I assume we're talking about soccer.
Yes.
So I support Kaizer Chiefs, and I still have hope that we will come back.
Forget.
Right? Oh,
I'm saying forget. Forget about that.
Right now. No, look, man, I'm very much a Kaizer Chiefs supporter. My family is, my father is, my brother is as well. And I honestly, I know that we will definitely come back. Internationally, the sports that I'm into, I enjoy tennis. I used to play tennis back in high school. In
Yeah.
fact, I was a decent tennis player. So I like guys like Roger Federer and so on. But otherwise, I don't necessarily consume too much international football, to be honest.
So if you, which three artists would you sign right now if you had a record label?
If I had a record label, I would sign a guy called Kid Teeny. I think he's incredibly underrated. He's an incredible, formidable MC. Then Elaine has unfortunately been scooped by the international market as well, and kudos and much love to her. But the first time I heard a single of hers, I knew immediately that this was of international standards. And then let me try and think of the third real quick. My gosh, if I had to sign a third, the thing is, everyone else I'm going to list is already a success and already doing well, but I would probably go and look for fresh talent from Kimberley, because it's one of my biggest desires to empower somebody from my hometown.
Definitely. And who is the best artist right now that you think is just killing all the artists here at home?
My gosh, that's such an unfair question. You know what? It would honestly be unfair to try and sum it down to one. But I'm enjoying all sorts of playlists right now, and I could rather list, say, 20 artists off the top of my head who I'm enjoying right now. So I think it'll be a little bit selfish and unfair to try and zero it down to one, because when I get into the car, I just hit shuffle on my playlist and I enjoy a whole host of South African artists. But I could probably mention one if I was up against the wall.
Okay. Let's mention that person.
Oh, you wanna? Oh, okay.
I wanna find out who's that artist.
You know something, man? There's a guy called Malume Vector.
Okay.
I think he's from Lesotho. He raps in Sesotho. There's a single of his, which honestly, without fail, every single day for the last week, I've had it on heavy rotation, and that's who I'm enjoying right now.
Okay. And what do you think of the South African hip hop industry just as a whole? What do you think still needs to be done? What do you think still needs to be developed when it comes to upcoming artists and the artists who have made it already?
Yeah, I'm honestly incredibly proud, man. I mean, if you compare it to the days when we started back in, 2000, 2001, 2, 3, and 4, where it was a challenge just to get on radio, and the fact that guys are now doing international collaborations, they are touring the world, the brands are massive, they're filling up stadiums and so on. So I'm honestly proud to see how far it's come. I do think there's still an issue of unity, and guys could still work closer together and forge better relationships, because I feel like together we could probably achieve so much more, and that is probably the biggest flaw I could point out to the industry right now. But having said all that, if you cut on any radio station right now, an hour won't pass without you hearing at least 2 or 3 South African hip-hop guys. So I think the culture is in a healthy space.
Definitely. And what's your favorite authentic South African dish?
Oh man, that's now a real tricky one. I'm from Kimberley, yo, so I grew up on difet kuku, you know what I mean, or what some may call
Magwinya.
My grandmother used to make difet kuku, and so you could have that thing with sauce, with gravy, with soup, with butter and jam, with coffee, you name it. So for me, if I had to boil it down to one, which is probably why I'm so chunky and I struggle with weight, but Legwenya, Joe, give me a Legwenya any day.
Gwinya any day. Now, what's the most beautiful place in the world that you've been to?
Oh man, I've been fortunate that I've been able to travel quite a bit. But if you were to say the most beautiful, I honestly have to be biased and keep it home and say I think Belito KZN is such a beautiful, underrated corner of our country.
Definitely. And if you could invite 5 legendary artists for dinner, who would you want to attend?
Oh man, I think I would get guys like I would get Quincy Jones. If I could resurrect the legendary Bob Marley, I certainly would. If I could resurrect Notorious B.I.G., I certainly would. I would have Jigga Jay-Z at the table because I want to just pique his mind a little bit. And I once shared a change room with Ntate of the group Stimela, Ntate Reipir. And let me tell you, man, he had some of the most fascinating stories about his heyday. And so I would definitely have him at the table because he had a crazy sense of humor, and I would think he will definitely help keep the conversation going.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. And all the best. I'm definitely going to get the book because I did check online. It only just costs $240, so it's not too much. So I'm going to definitely get it and try and find you somewhere on the street so I can get your signature on my book. But with all that, thank you so much and all the best with all the work that you're doing.
I really appreciate the platform, the opportunity, and the time. Thank you so much for having me. I wish you nothing but success. And thank you so much for the support on the book and all the other ventures. And all the best and God bless.
Thank you so much. Thank you.